Hey guys, how are we?
Simon.
Do you want to kick it off, Butts?
Oh, well, Goody, can you give us your best Doc Buckins on May and Viney? How are they looking this week?
Yeah, so May, Bolly, Fritsch and Salem will all be available, which is great for us. You know, they've had a couple of weeks of training and are ready to go. So obviously Maisie had that little calf that we've sort of been working through, but he's trained fully on Saturday. We expect him to train fully today. And Viney's really started to really increase his loads the last few weeks. So we're confident all those guys being available to play, and it's going to give us a pretty strong selection headache.
You're going to have a few stiff players. You touched on it there. When do those conversations take place?
Yeah, we'll take place after training today. We'll get a good handle on our team, make sure we train fully today and see where our squad's at after training. We've had some preliminary chats around what the team looks like, but we certainly haven't finalised anything. As I said, we want to make sure we've got a healthy team heading into this week against a really high quality opposition. So we'll have those chats later today as a coaching group, and then we'll start to feed that information through to the players. But as you said, it's tough. Selection's hard at the moment. We've got some guys that are pushing and playing some incredible footy for us, and are all in really good form. So we just got to do what's best for the team.
Just on Salem, Simon, I guess the thyroid is sort of slightly unusual. Is he ready to go in the one, or does he need a run into the VFL side, or what's the go with him specifically?
Yeah, look, we're going to have that discussion again later today. He's certainly put in a lot of work in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and we want to set him up for success. He's going to train fully again this week and be available for selection. So we're going to make some decisions on where that looks like being. But he's certainly put in the work. He's had an enormous pre-season up until his thyroid. And clearly had some downtime through that period, but he's done a lot of work to get himself back in this position, and we'll back in the high performance team and the medical team with what they tell us to do.
And just on Stephen May, obviously fantastic player, so important that you guys set up. How reassuring was it that the back six and everyone and the structures held up so well without?
Yeah, look, he's an important player to us, there's no question, but it's just brilliant. Adam Tomlinson, has come back through so much, with his knee reconstruction, playing VFL footy, and actually put himself in a position to actually take that position when Maisie was out, and he performed incredibly well. And I was so impressed with our back six. They put in a lot of work to what they've done. Judd McVee's a player that's certainly on the up for us. And as I said, Tomo came in and performed incredibly well. So it's a real good position for us to be in, that we know we've got a lot of trusting guys that are playing VFL footy that can come in and play enormous roles for us. But we also know how important Stephen May is to the Melbourne Footy Club, and it's going to be great to get him back in the team.
And just on the stories in the Herald Sun with Glenn Bartlett, it's claimed in there that Gary Pert and Gil McLaughlin were, I suppose monitoring is the right word, for the better part of 18 months. Were you aware of that at the time, or have you been made aware of it since? What did you make of that?
I think I said, with all due respect, I spoke about this 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and I said it was irrelevant to me back then, and it's still relevant to me now. I've got more important things to worry about in terms of Brisbane stoppages, Lachie Neale, their potent forward line, than talking about Glenn Bartlett. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, just on sort of a broader one that's related to that as well, though, would you support hair testing of AFL executives and senior coaches?
As I said, I'm not going to give it any oxygen at all, or any thought time, any energy. It's irrelevant to me. Any more footy questions?
Cosy Pickett won't be there. After seeing the MRO hand down the McAdam punishment last night, you think that the 2 weeks is a pretty good result for him and your footy club?
Oh, look, I think, it's obviously an incident that we don't like to see. And I got asked after the game, would I speak to Cozzy about the way he played? I'm certainly not going to talk to him about the way he plays. I love the pressure that he puts on. I love the intensity that he plays with. But I did speak to our playing group, and Cozzy was involved in that, about the bump. There's no element in the game where we should be bumping. And that's the message I've given to our playing group, that it just puts you in a situation that you don't want to be in. So we certainly won't be encouraging our players to bump. We want them to tackle We want them to play tough, contested footy, but that's one element of the game we've got to get right.
Have you almost had to train that? Have you almost had to train that out of the playing group? And is that something you've had to work on over the last 12 months, or has it just become more prevalent now that you need to remind them that it's not worth doing?
We've spoken about it for a couple of years now about the bump. I think for a few years now the AFL have been pretty clear that if you choose to bump, that there could be a situation that you don't want to find yourself in as a player. So we'll try and limit that risk where we can. We want our players to tackle. As I said, we want them to play tough, but we certainly don't want them to bump in any situation that they don't need to be bumping in. So, Cozzy knows that. He knows he's probably got it wrong. Thankfully Bailey Smith was, in a good place after the game and wasn't concussed. But, I think we don't want to see that type of stuff in our game.
Simon?
Wow, what was that?
Sorry, but just a quick one, Simon, just on the bump stuff. What would you think about a sin bin?
No, I think it just adds another complexity to the game that we don't need. I think there's probably limited incidents in the season that, there would be conjecture over it. I just don't think we need to add another layer to our game that we don't need. I think it just provides a bit more grey and a bit more fuel for something to go wrong.
So Goody is saying the bump is dead. Is that fair? Bump designator.
So what was that?
The bump is dead. That's what you're saying.
Oh, from my perspective, I think it is, yeah. I think there's always the way you use your body with your shoulder in contest situations, but not in a bumping sense. I think, our game is about tackling. There's no need to bump. I think it is dead, yeah. If you ask for a personal opinion.
Simon, how long have you been telling your players not to bump? When did you first say to them, guys, get it out of your game?
Look, I haven't been driving the message on a weekly basis. I'll put that on the table. But we've had discussions before, and I think I've spoken in the media before. I think I've been quoted in the media before of saying that I don't think there's any need to bump in the game. Sometimes we have a game where we play on instinct. And sometimes you make split decisions that you regret later on. So I understand that it's not going to be out of the game, but we just continue to educate our players, learn from examples that we've seen on the weekend and try and get it out of our game.
Woody, the cannonball technique that he used and McAdam, do you know where that's come from? I mean, you played in an era where you could pick someone off fairly, but we rarely saw a player leave the ground and jump and turn his back then. That cannonball technique, any ideas where they picked up from, these two players?
Nope. No, we certainly don't train it.
Fair enough. Okay. And just another one on Cos. I mean, I don't know if it'll worry you or not, but there was a little two-finger salute in the game as he was running into goal. Do you give him a clip for that, or is that him, in the modern term, expressing himself?
To be honest, I haven't seen it. We want our players to express themselves, have fun, enjoy the game, but we certainly want to respect the game and respect our opposition. I'd have to have a look at it to make a proper comment on it, but based on the way we drive our culture internally, respecting the game and respecting the opposition is important, but we want to have fun. We want to have joy. We want to bring our fans on the journey with us. So I'd have to have a look at it to see what the meaning was behind it.
Simon, do you expect the Lions to come out breathing fire, so to speak, after a pretty disappointing game first up?
Yeah, look, obviously they'll be disappointed with how they played. We know too well how good a side they are. They've had an enormous pre-season, but they beat us in the final pretty comprehensively on our home ground. And they've got a lot of top-end talent. They've added good players to their team post that final series. And as I said, they've had a great summer. So we know the challenge that's in front of us, heading up there to play against a really high-quality team. They did some things to us in that final that we'll be ready for. Worked really hard over the summer to improve our own game in a whole range of different areas. So we think we're well prepared to take on that challenge, and we're looking forward to it. We think it's going to be a cracking game. There's a bit of a rivalry building between the two clubs in terms of how we go about our footy and the type of games that we want to play in. So we look forward to this challenge heading up there.
So is it fair to say that semi-final's still fairly fresh in the memory?
Oh, it's fresh in the memory because it's technically two games ago. We played one round since that final. Last year we played Brisbane 3 times. I think both clubs know that each other's games really well. So, you know, we get a chance to have a look at some of the things that we've implemented post that final series to make us a better footy team, and we get our first look at it on Friday night.
Last couple, guys.
Simon, I know there's no one the same as Cosy Pickett, but do you have someone who and play that sort of role forward and through the mid again, or do you just sort of count that player out for the next 2 weeks?
I think there's no one that can replace Cosy Pickett, so it's going to be a thing that we pick up as a team. The pressure that he puts on. You know, we there's no player that can do that really that I can see in the competition outside of Cos. So we'll lift the intensity ourselves internally with our team and the roles that we play within our team. But as I said, we've got some high quality players coming back into our side that we know can have a big impact for us. So we'll take those strengths to the opposition and see how we go.